In the last months, Serbia has seen mass protests led by students. These were triggered by an incident in the Novi Sad railway station where in November a canopy crashed and 15 people died. We have asked Jeffers from Serbia to give us some information about these protests and about how, more broadly, democracy is under attack in the country.
Currently, the protests are actually intensifying. So a few months ago, we had protests in Belgrade, but since then, there were only a few places in Serbia that didn't have some kind of protest supporting the students or that were organized by students. You may know that our prime minister resigned. That is not that big of a news to us because, well, the political system here has been delegitimized by the protests. So since, let's say, December, they have been intense. And because of that, I think we are in a very deep political crisis right now, even maybe constitutional crisis, because the institutions have been challenged and they do not have an answer. So the first demand is that all the documentation about the canopy is released so that it is transparent of what happened. The second one is to identify and punish the attackers on the students and citizens, because in the beginning there were a lot of attacks. So there are two more demands. One is the dismissal of all charges against those that protest. Many students have been charged or are to go to court because of blockades. And the fourth demand is to increase budget allocation for universities.
We have been living in this transition period from socialism to neoliberal economies, and in that transitionary period, right-wing politicians from a nationalistic Serbian radical party emerged as the dominant force in the country. They used to participate in Milosevic government, and they were led by Aleksandar Vučić. He became deputy prime minister responsible for defense, after which he started seizing all the power in the country, becoming the prime minister, and later becoming the president of the republic. And basically, all political force and everything political happening in Serbia is basically concentrated in him. He is the political system. Culturally speaking, Russia is held as a liberator. Not really a sentiment that is felt across other countries in Eastern Europe, where they feel that they have been colonized by Russia. We feel that they helped us liberate from colonizers, those being the Turks, way back. And they're also Orthodox, and we are Orthodox, and there is this brotherly relationship between the people. But Russian imperial state, being the Russian imperial state, also invested quite a lot of money and influence in the Serbian society and politics. And up until a month ago, they were controlling our oil companies. And yes, the influence of the Russian state is quite clear within the structures of ruling business. But so is the influence of the European Union, and that's the big conflict within the ruling party.
It has been hard for us to establish democratic institutions, but if we were to look at reports about the state of democracy in Serbia 10 or 15 years ago, it was much better. So what has changed? I would say it's mostly connected to the media. There is no publicly available broadcaster, private or public broadcasting service, doesn't matter, that is available to all citizens. There are only few media outlets that report on everything that's happening. For example, Russia Today still has its presence in Serbia. Even after sanctions, it was unable to operate first, but then they registered as Russia Today Serbia. But also the propaganda in government-controlled media has been very pro-Russian. People in Serbia have been continuously disappointed by the promised dates of joining the European Union, and the so-called enlargement fatigue, took over as the largest chunk of population now doesn't feel that they would vote on a potential referendum of joining the European Union. Only 39% of people now support Serbia's path to the European Union.
I think the democracy is under pressure from corrupt, pro-Russian neoliberal elite that strikes to profit from Serbia's very turbulent recent history. And they are profiting politically and economically.